Did you know that canned tuna, if consumed incorrectly, can pose a hidden danger to your brain health? Have you ever wondered why some cans are cheaper than others? Why there are so many types of tuna on the shelves? Or, most importantly, which ones might be silently filling your body with mercury? That beloved tuna sandwich could be quietly harming you. Today, I'm revealing a secret the food industry doesn't want you to know. Not all tuna is created equal, and this difference could be affecting your brain health. But that's not all. I'll also expose the 4 biggest mistakes people make when eating canned tuna, often without realizing the risks involved. Plus, I'll share real-life case studies and essential tips to help you enjoy this nutritious food safely. Curious? Stay with us until the end to ensure you're maximizing nutrients without jeopardizing your health. After these revelations, you'll never look at a can of tuna the same way again. First story, Dirto Wine Worm. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our Vitality Over 60 channel. Do you eat canned tuna regularly? How do you prepare it? Where in the world are you from? After watching, leave a comment below so we can get to know you better. What is mercury and where does it come from? Many of us have enjoyed tuna for decades, but we may not fully understand the mercury present in this food. Let's dive deeper. Mercury is a heavy metal naturally found in the Earth's crust, but industrial activities such as coal burning, mining, and waste incineration have released massive amounts into the environment. This pollution has increased mercury levels in our oceans by up to 200% since pre-industrial times. According to a 2019 study in Nature, there are 2 types of mercury to be concerned about: inorganic mercury and methylmercury. When industries burn coal or mine metals, inorganic mercury is released into the air. Over time, it settles into rivers, lakes, and oceans. In low-oxygen environments, bacteria in the sediment convert inorganic mercury into methylmercury, a more toxic and potent form that can damage the nervous system, kidneys, and cardiovascular system. Methylmercury enters the aquatic food chain, starting with tiny organisms like plankton and small crustaceans. These are eaten by smaller fish, which are then consumed by larger predatory fish, such as tuna. This process, known as biomagnification, causes large fish like tuna to accumulate high levels of mercury over their lifetimes, sometimes up to 1 million times the concentration found in the surrounding water. That's why we must be mindful of excessive consumption, especially for those with concerns about neurological or heart health. Why does tuna contain high levels of mercury? Tuna is a migratory fish, swimming thousands of miles across oceans. Its diet, which includes crustaceans, therefore squid, and smaller fish, varies by species and location. The problem arises when these prey are contaminated with methylmercury. Tuna absorbs this toxin, which isn't easily eliminated from its body. Instead, it accumulates in tissues like muscle and fat, like a storage box where items are added but rarely removed. The more contaminated prey a tuna eats, the more methylmercury builds up. For example, a single large tuna can carry 100 times more mercury than smaller fish like sardines. While tuna can excrete a small portion of the mercury it absorbs, significant amounts remain stored, particularly in older, larger fish. When we, at the top of the food chain, eat contaminated tuna, we consume this accumulated methylmercury, which can lead to serious health consequences over time, including memory issues, tremors, and heart disease. A 2020 study in Environmental Health Perspectives found that chronic low-level mercury exposure from fish consumption was linked to a 15% higher risk of cognitive decline in adults over 60. That's why doctors and nutritionists recommend moderation, particularly for vulnerable groups like young children, pregnant women, and older adults who are more susceptible to mercury's toxic effects. For seniors, maintaining brain health is crucial, and avoiding excessive mercury is a key step. The 4 biggest mistakes when eating canned tuna. Before you open your next can of tuna, here's what you need to know to avoid common pitfalls that could harm your health. Mistake 1. Not knowing the different tuna species. There are 3 main types of tuna on supermarket shelves, and their mercury levels vary significantly. Skipjack tuna katsuonospelamis. Often labeled simply as tuna, this smaller fish lives 2 to 3 years and accumulates minimal mercury, 12 parts per million. It's the safest choice for regular consumption. Ideal for weekly meals. Tuna wire, Yellowfin tuna, Thunus albicares. Larger and longer lived, 7-10 years. Yellowfin has nearly 3 times more mercury zero. Frisuri, 35 parts per million. It's safe in moderation but should be limited to once or twice a month. Srisircurus suracu, albacore tuna tunus alalunga. The highest in mercury up to 50 parts per million. Albacore is so concerning that the EPA and FDA recommend limiting consumption to no more than 4 ounces per week for adults. Knowing which type of tuna you're eating is critical to controlling mercury exposure. Choosing skipjack over albacore can reduce your mercury intake by up to 75%. Mistake 2, not reading labels carefully. To enjoy tuna without excessive mercury, pay close attention to the label. If it simply says tuna, it's usually skipjack, the lowest in mercury. However, one purchuyun wichurkin. Labels like light tuna or yellowfin indicate higher mercury levels. While white tuna often refers to albacore, some brands specify the species in the ingredient list. Take a few seconds to check. If the label isn't clear, a quick search on the manufacturer's website can clarify. Most major brands, like Bumblebee or Starkist, provide this information online. Don't rely solely on tuna. Rotate it with low-mercury fish like kudin, salmon, packed with omega-3s and heart-healthy fats, surinawiwan and in sardines. Nutritious, affordable, and rich in calcium. Erdarani mackerel, flavorful and high in vitamin D. Precured trout, delicate and nearly mercury-free. This variety ensures you get seafood's benefits without overloading on mercury. Mistake 3, not managing weekly tuna consumption. Despite its convenience, eating too much tuna can harm your health due to mercury buildup. The UEU, Nemoyurasur, dietary guidelines recommend about 8 ounces, 227 grams of seafood per week for adults. With an emphasis on low mercury options, tuna is a great source of omega-3s, which support brain function and reduce inflammation. But the type and amount matter. For example, 8 ounces of skipjack is safer than 8 ounces of albacore due to the mercury difference. To balance nutrition and safety, limit high mercury tuna yellowfin, albacore to once a month and prioritize skipjack for weekly meals. Mixing in other seafood, like salmon or sardines, ensures you meet omega-3 needs without risking toxicity. A 2021 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that diversifying seafood intake reduced mercury exposure by 40% while maintaining nutritional benefits. Mistake 4, not draining canned tuna properly. Improperly draining canned tuna can ruin your dish and affect health benefits. Whether packed in water or oil, excess liquid must be removed to avoid a watery salad or soupy mayo. Here's how: using a strainer. Place the tuna in a fine mesh strainer over a bowl or sink. Press down with a fork to squeeze out all liquid. Using the can lid. Partially open the can. Turn it over the sink and press the lid firmly against the tuna to drain evenly. Proper draining also ensures you're not diluting the flavor or nutrients, making your meal more enjoyable and effective for health. Tuna in water versus tuna in oil. Which is better? Fresh tuna is ideal, but canned tuna is a lifesaver for busy days. So, should you choose tuna in water or oil? The answer might surprise you. Canned tuna contains trace metals like aluminum from the can and mercury from ocean contamination. These metals are lipophilic, meaning they bind to fat. Kuanad or waribor tuna in oil. Heavy metals tend to bind to the oil. When you drain the oil thoroughly, you discard a significant portion of these contaminants, up to 60% of mercury. According to a 2020 study in Public Health Nutrition, oil-packed tuna has more calories but higher levels of omega-3s and vitamin D, making it ideal for those needing healthy fats, such as individuals with cystic fibrosis, and tuna in water. Without oil to trap metals, mercury remains in the fish, meaning you consume more of it. Water-packed tuna is lower in calories but retains more contaminants. If reducing mercury is your goal, choose tuna in oil and drain it well. For those watching calories, water-packed skipjack is a good compromise, provided you limit portions. Case studies. Real-life lessons on canned tuna consumption. To bring these lessons to life, let's explore 3 real-life case studies inspired by common scenarios that highlight the mistakes, their consequences, and how to fix them. These stories show how everyday choices can impact health and offer practical solutions for our Vitality Over 60 community. Case where Study 1, Mayan 1, Terrain Rakin. John's albacore overload. Background Watanuwaner, Sornwatuir, Shawarjan, Sortur. Suranshitiner loves tuna salad sandwiches and eats canned albacore tuna 3-4 times a week, assuming it's the premium choice due to its white color and rich flavor. He doesn't check labels and buys whatever's on sale. Mistake. John is unaware that albacore has the highest mercury levels 0, secretor p.m. His frequent consumption exceeds the FDA's recommended limit of 4 ounces per week, exposing him to excessive mercury. Consequence. After a year, John notices memory lapses and fatigue, which his doctor links to possible mercury toxicity after blood tests show elevated levels. His high albacore intake has contributed to cognitive strain, a concern for seniors. Solution: John switches to skipjack tuna, labeled simply tuna, and limits it to 8 ounces weekly. He rotates in sardines and salmon for variety, reducing his mercury exposure by 70%. He also starts reading labels and chooses oil-packed skipjack, draining it thoroughly. Within months, his energy improves, and follow-up tests show lower mercury levels. Lesson: always check the tuna species and prioritize skipjack for safety, especially if you're over 60 and eating tuna regularly. Case Study 2, Maria's Label Oversight. Background 1. Maria, 60, buys light tuna weekly, thinking it's healthier because it sounds less heavy. She prepares tuna casseroles for her family, but doesn't check the species or drain the water properly. Mistake. Maria's light tuna is often yellowfin 0, ppm, higher in mercury than skipjack. Not draining the water means she's consuming more mercury as it stays in the fish. Her frequent meals exceed safe limits. Consequence: Maria experiences occasional hand tremors and irritability, which her neurologist flags as possible mercury-related nerve issues. Her diet, heavy in yellowfin, is a contributing factor. Solution: Maria learns to read labels and switches to skipjack tuna, verifying the species on the brand's website. She uses a strainer to drain water-packed tuna thoroughly, reducing mercury intake. She also cuts back to 4-6 ounces weekly and adds trout to her meals. Her symptoms gradually improve, and she feels more vibrant. Lesson nearer. Maduro wands. Reading labels and draining properly are simple steps that significantly reduce mercury risks. Case Study 3. Tom's oil-packed misstep. Background. Tom doesn't. 7 chooses oil-packed tuna for its flavor, but doesn't drain it, mixing the oil into his salads for extra richness. He eats albacore in oil twice weekly, unaware of its high mercury content. Mistake. By not draining the oil, Tom consumes both the mercury bound to the oil and the fish, doubling his exposure. His choice of albacore further increases the risk. Consequence. Tom develops high blood pressure, partly linked to mercury's cardiovascular effects, as noted in a 2022 study in hypertension. His doctor advises dietary changes to lower mercury levels. Solution. Tom switches to skipjack in oil, draining it meticulously using the can lid method. He limits tuna to once a week and adds mackerel for omega-3s. He also starts a daily walk to support heart health. His blood pressure stabilizes, and he feels more energized. Lesson no awareness shooting. Draining oil-packed tuna and choosing low-mercury species are critical for heart and overall health. Smarter choices for enjoying tuna. To enjoy tuna without worrying about mercury, follow these enhanced tips. Treaties administration, choose your skipjack. Opt for cans labeled tuna or skipjack for the lowest mercury levels 0. ppm, nephruri. Read labels diligently. Check for the species skipjack, yellowfin, albacore, and avoid white tuna for frequent use. Never research brands. Use brand websites or apps like Seafood Watch to verify tuna species and sustainability. Diversify your seafood. Include low-mercury options like salmon, sardine, mackerel, or trout to reduce reliance on tuna. 3. Limit portions. Stick to 8 ounces of seafood weekly, prioritizing skipjack and saving yellowfin or albacore for occasional treats. Supernatural enhanced preparation. Drain tuna thoroughly and pair it with mercury-detoxifying foods like cilantro, garlic, or selenium-rich Brazil nuts, which a 2021 study in nutrients found can bind mercury in the body. The goal isn't to avoid tuna, It's a protein-packed, affordable food, but to make informed choices, by avoiding these four mistakes and learning from real-life cases, you can enjoy tuna's benefits while protecting your brain, heart, and overall vitality. Have you made any of these tuna mistakes? Or do you have a favorite tuna recipe? Share your story in the comments. If this video helped, type yes below. Exciting news. Become a Vitality Over 60 channel member for exclusive perks like early video access, priority comment replies, members-only shorts, polls, quizzes, secret to read you, special emojis, and loyalty badges. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.